Hello, I'm Ali Reza. Welcome to my channel. I just created this channel in order to share my understanding about domain-driven design, software design, and algorithm design. Today's topic is about domain-driven design. I'm decided to talk about what's DDD, how we can apply DDD, and what is the advantages of using DDD. Let's see what's the meaning of domain-driven design. In my experience as a software engineer during these years, I just heard different definitions for domain-driven design. For example, one of my colleagues told me, what about domain-driven design framework? Or the other just mentioned domain-driven design as a pattern. Or the other believed that domain-driven design is an architecture. In fact, domain-driven design is a development philosophy, is an approach for tackling complexity out of the heart of software. But how this could happen, how we can apply DDD, and what are the most important characteristics of domain-driven design, patterns, and the other things, I will tell you in a minute. Besides DDD, there is a popular and famous pattern which most soft development teams are using it that called big ball of mud. In fact, big ball of mud is the opposite of domain-driven design. But what's the problem with big ball of mud and how big ball of mud causes the development team fails? We have two main challenges that don't let the developers to create a valuable software even though they're trying hard. First challenge of big ball of mud, the first reason of big ball of mud fails is lack of shared language. In fact, in a team, there is no common understanding of a terminology. There is no common understanding what's going on the system. There is no context. They are not able to distinguish the context, distinguish the difference between the meanings. That's why most of the teams fail. Why? Because having a shared language will truly reveal the correct and the main intent of business. When you don't know the main intent of business, when you don't know what's the business and what's going on in this business, you wouldn't have a good software. For example, if you decided to create an application for the health industry, you wouldn't be a doctor. I mean, a software engineer do not need a doctor's knowledge, do not need how to do the surgery, do not need how to just talk to a patient. The only thing a software engineer need to know is terminologies. I mean by this, they must understand what are the meaning of this word in this specific area of the health industry and how it's supposed to be. The other most important things that in big ball of mud pattern we don't focus on is core domain. I mean, without understanding the problem space, you are not able to create a good and valuable software. How we can create a good and valuable software? Only by focusing on core domain. What does it mean? It means that first of all, you must understand why you're creating this software. What is software is going to do? What is the aim of creating this software? What is the important part of this software? What are the clients? What is the benefit of creating this software? What problem this software going to solve? Without understanding the core domain, without focusing on the problem space, you wouldn't have valuable software because you don't have clear vision of what's going to happen in this software. In domain-driven design, we have two main patterns. The first is about strategic pattern and second is about the technical patterns. A strategic pattern in domain-driven design is in terms of context. In domain-driven design, this word is super important. I mean, it's about everything in DDD. If you want to be a good DDD practitioner, you need to understand this word truly, and you need to find a good way for understanding this. In fact, a context means a circumstance that form the setting of a word or sentence meaning. What does it mean? Let me give you an example. For example, if you order a cup of coffee, Americano, on coffee shop, you might pay $10 for it. But imagine that cup of coffee inside a park on a bench. What would you pay? Even would you pay for it? Even someone offer you for free, okay, drink this coffee. Would you do that? No. The coffee is the same, but they are in different contexts. In domain-driven design, it's super important to understand and distinguish different contexts and define them as bounded contexts and encapsulate them in bounded contexts. Why they matter, how they matter, why they are important. I give you an example in mathematics. For example, if f(x) equal to y, then g(x) equal to y. Can we conclude that f(x) equal to g(x) or not? Can we conclude it? No, we're not able to conclude this. It means that if two behaviors have the same outcome, it doesn't mean they are replaceable. If in the two different places we have coffee, it doesn't mean they have the same value. They are usable. Let me just give you a better example. Imagine we're working on an online delivery or on an online retailer. In our company, we have different departments. For example, pricing or delivery or fulfillment center. We have three departments, and our job is about selling products. A product in pricing has a different meaning into delivery department, into fulfillment center department. Why? Because in pricing department, a product price is important. The calculation of price is important. Some characteristic of product is important related to pricing. But in delivery center, even the product is not important. It's just something you should deliver to someone else. The characteristic, the design is totally different. It's much different than we expected in pricing, than we expected in fulfillment center. I mean, it's the same term, but it has different meanings. Also, it's the same concept, but it has different usage. In domain-driven design, the main art is finding context. The part that we can find and distinguish part context is called bounded context. I'm pretty sure you have seen these kind of shapes and DDD books too much. Maybe someone called this cargo and put it, for example, delivery, and just call them different bounded contexts. Why they are bounded, why they are separated, why they are encapsulated from each other? Because the shared language which we talked earlier, the shared understanding, ubiquitous language, the language of the system is encapsulated in different contexts. I mean, a coffee must be encapsulated in context of coffee shop rather than the park, or products must be encapsulated into pricing, and never ever just confused with this delivery. If they wanted to get connected to each other, they might not spoil the encapsulation. That's why it's super important. And beside understanding the context, understanding that domain-driven design is linguistic, DDD is about talks, about understanding, finding a shared language between different parts, I mean between domain experts and developers. Then centralize them and finding a ubiquitous language and develop base of them. What's the point of finding a shared language? Why we need have a shared language in our team? What's the advantages of developers, products, and business experts just collaborate with each other? First, developers will understand why they are making and what's the aim of this software. Second, there must be a way that the language, the talks should be translated from the technical aspect to the business aspect. I mean, whenever the technical and business are more aligned, are more translated, are more understandable, the software would be better. The more aligned, the more better software, and the less understanding, more ambiguity would be the worse software. I mean, when the software get to big ball of mud, exactly when you don't have any understanding of what's the domain model, how it works, and how it is going to happen. For example, if you are a civil engineer, you decided to create a house, you go to a client, the client will tell you, I want a house, okay? We have different variety of houses. For example, an apartment or a house with pool or a house with garden. What would you want? Which kind of place do you prefer? How it would be? How many rooms you want to be into this system? I told you, in domain-driven design, language is super important. In domain-driven design, everything is linguistic. Bounded contexts are linguistic, and finding the boundaries is linguistic. Is something related to context. It's how you can understand the language. You might ask a question, how we can just start off. The start off will happen when you're collaborating with domain experts and when you try to create a shared language. I will talk about ubiquitous language more in other videos, but in this video, I just focus on understanding the context, understanding the strategic pattern. Strategic patterns are not just ubiquitous language, it's more, bounded context, context mapping, and other things. But in this video, it was just an introduction to DDD. What is DDD? How DDD things happens, and how we must change our vision from big ball of mud to domain-driven design. Thanks for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.